The Authoritarian Moment by Ben Shapiro. The Book Review. Reviewer Paul Leslie. We the people make way for we the obedient subjects of authoritarianism. This very phenomenon is being observed in many facets of American life and is thoroughly investigated in best-selling author Ben Shapiro's latest work, The Authoritarian Moment: How the Left Weaponized America's Institutions Against Dissent. It's a timely book about increasingly prevalent authoritarianism and open hostility of dissenting views in America. A prolific writer and host of the wildly popular Ben Shapiro Show, Shapiro's new book is a comprehensive summary and analysis of America's shift away from autonomy in favor of a growing extreme leftist hegemony. The mainstream narrative is that right-wing authoritarianism is America's greatest and most widespread threat. They're the real boogeymen. That is, if you are listening to most media personalities and believe in the depictions on television and in film. In The Authoritarian Moment, Shapiro asks a valuable question. Is that really true? Are the greatest threats to American liberty coming from the same people who are in favor of a more limited government? Where does this idea come from? Shapiro isn't buying the notion of right-wing authoritarianism being our greatest threat. He makes the case that neither is the majority of Americans, no matter how often it's repeated. There are abundant examples of the left engaging in institutional capture, as the book chronicles. We're currently in the process of these institutions compelling the American people to follow their political agenda. Shapiro makes the case that this ideological stronghold has been achieved through politeness. Cordiality has been used as a way to silence dissent. Indeed, this hasn't happened overnight. The new mantra of many in politics and the pop culture is the idea that speech is violence, which has evolved into silence is violence. In other words, it's not okay to disagree but simply stay quiet. Now you have to parrot the latest woke slogans and battle cries. Dissenting speech is regarded as dangerous, and so is the slightest noncompliance. The Authoritarian Moment makes many logical points, and Shapiro is good at expressing his observations very clearly and simply. More writers should strive to achieve this lucidity. This stems from Shapiro asking all of the right questions and then answering based on the evidence. One of those questions is, why did people comply and fall in line with wokeness? Furthermore, with lunacy becoming the new normal, why does this supplication to leftist doctrine continue? American institutions are far along in a process of renormalization. This renormalization isn't hearsay, as the authoritarian left has used these processes in the past and in other countries. Those who participate in the renormalization even speak their own language, which Shapiro calls the woke-cabulary. The rewards for speaking the language and obedient conformity is to find a place in the new ruling class. Those who don't dissent and remain obedient are afforded greater opportunities, protection, and even adulation. This year, authoritarianism has been a popular topic in books, and the demand from readers is certainly there. The Authoritarian Moment is perhaps the most stalwart of these works because of its quest for verity. Americans and other people around the world live at a time when the truth is being crowded out in the frenzied search for what is being labeled as social justice. It's true in academics, and it's certainly true in the media. What's most captivating about the Authoritarian Moment is that it's verifiably not only very conservative individuals who are in the crosshairs. Moderates are regularly finding their beliefs and values considered unacceptable, and now liberals. One cannot partially enlist. Full acquiescence is mandatory. The reader comes to understand that reality is kryptonite to wokeism and the authoritarian left. Therefore, the antidote is to push back with reason and to remain grounded in objective reality. One of the most fascinating examples cited by Shapiro in the Authoritarian Moment is that the science presented by some activists and politicians is not science in the classic sense, but rather a call for silence. Investigation and inquiry have no part in the science because of its politicization. Anti-scientific ideas are endorsed and promoted when they achieve the leftist agenda. Shapiro describes frequent examples of those in the public health sector who are open about their social justice activism bleeding into public policy. No longer can we assume this so-called science is not susceptible to political interference. In the Authoritarian Moment, Shapiro also plumbs the depths of the corporations, where fear has allowed the authoritarian left steady advancement. Corporations act out of worry of authoritarian persecution and in hopes of prolonged protection based on compliance. Shapiro shows with precision how companies are now a part of the authoritarian moment, regularly persecuting or refusing customers they disagree with. Employees with alternative views are forced to submit or be ostracized. Shapiro is an eloquent writer and imparts an understanding of the current authoritarian madness. Insane contradictions are prevalent in authoritarianism, but it's evident why they are made. From a logical standpoint, leftist authoritarian dogmas don't pass muster. It's important to remember, adherents of authoritarianism generally have no truck in logic. Advancement of the agenda carries the day, no matter what the facts are. What's particularly commendable about Ben Shapiro's The Authoritarian Moment is that the book is not a dark and depressing read. He manages to keep the American principles of faith and steadfastness throughout the book. There is an ongoing effort to re-educate Americans to disdain the nation and write America off as irredeemable. There are certainly great adversities to liberty in America today, but there is work that can and should be done. Silence is not golden. If there is one political book you read in 2021, let it be The Authoritarian Moment. Ben Shapiro's book has the straightforward solutions to the pervasive authoritarianism that threatens the individual. If you want to understand what is going on and what you can do, you need to read The Authoritarian Moment. The Authoritarian Moment. Author, Ben Shapiro. Publisher, Broadside Books. Publication date, July 27, 2021. Hardcover, 288 pages. Audiobook, 6 hours, 11 minutes. Special thanks to Eric Nelson.